Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
Oh gosh, I love that, Siobhan. You know, I just told her she doesn't even need a last name anymore. She just has a first name. She's like Cher or Madonna, Siobhan, right? Awesome. Well, we are in for some excitement tonight. If you can think of a labyrinth as being exciting, but it will be a wonderful experience, I'm trusting, and I'm really glad that you all shown up to be game for it. Well, I just want you to know that we are continuing our 12 Power series this evening, realizing your divine powers, and tonight I am speaking on the power of order. And order is actually, the thing that we invoke. How many times have you called for divine order? Divine order. And we're used to affirming divine order if we're, in unity circles. We talk about orders established or, divine order, or it'll all fall into place. So we always kind of have the sense that there's an external order to things, and that somehow if things aren't going the way we thought they were, we're taking too small a view, which all of that's true, and that we might want to just go up, 10,000 feet and take another look at things and kind of start to see that maybe there's more to this picture than we were originally thinking. And so that's a tactic and an understanding that is actually rooted in truth. That is actually a way to do it. There's another way in which we participate in the establishment of order. We are the ones who bring it. We are co-creators with that order. And so there's two ways we can be looking at that tonight. And I just want to invoke the idea that we can also establish order as we can also affirm order that already exists. I'm not sure there's even a difference in that. Maybe we'll talk about it in the spiritual talk back after the service and see. Divine order is actually a pattern of life. It is a set of relationships. It is the way in which everything is connected. We say we are all one, when we're not just talking about those of us with belly buttons. We really are talking about everything is one. Everything is part of the whole. Everything is a reflection. It's a mirror. It's a hologram. It's the Matrix. It's everything that you've ever heard from any movie you've ever seen. It's all of this stuff together. It's really this understanding that everything has an interconnectedness. And in fact, we as individuals, as human beings, we actually are not just a physical body. We are an animated field of energy that animates a body. And our field of energy is actually also interconnected. Because if you're in another dimension, if you're talking about the part of you that is not, taste, touch, feel, 3D, sense consciousness, if you're talking about something, a part of us that is actually bigger than that or in another dimension, then there really has no boundaries or definition. It has no form, because this is the world of form. This is the field of form. Everything else is, just kind of out there. And that means all of you and all of me we're all kind of out there. And so we're all kind of out there together in a kind of a mishmash. So where's the order in that? Maybe we'll talk about that in the spiritual talk back. See, divine order, the pattern of life, there's a rhythm, there's a wholeness to everything that we perceive from the places in which we are operating at any given time. But the power of being able to use it, the power of being able to invoke it, and to feel the peacefulness that it brings to us is to begin to see more holistically, to see things as a whole, and to begin to have trust and faith. We also talked about faith a couple of times, actually. We did it in our spiritual gift series, and we've also done it in our divine power series. It's a place where we go to, where we begin to trust. We begin to trust before we see. We begin to trust and be willing to use the trust to begin to see. And that's where order starts to become visible to us. There's a rhythm, there's a wholeness, there's a seeing holistically, discerning the pattern and thinking in a bigger way. When we see the pattern of truth, I talked about this also in spiritual gifts, all of which you will find in our archives, in our library. Feel free to go back and visit those anytime. The gift of prophecy really is nothing more than developing the ability to rise up out of the current state, to be able to see from a higher perspective an unfolding or a pattern or an order to things that are in motion now. That if nothing changes them or diverts them or new choices aren't made, you can see how that will evolve, right? That's the gift of being able to see into the future or being able to prophesy, being able to see a pattern that exists, or to bring an interpretation and a truth out of what you can already see is already visible, already here, even if it isn't all unfolded yet. Isn't this fun? I told you this would be cool. We can decide to see from a higher plane and catch the vision, and then wait for signs to arise organically, seemingly of their own, pointing in the direction we have anticipated. I think this is making noise. So I think what you want to be able to see and do, and I practiced this in my ministry. It was actually something that I tried, my ministry in New Braunfels for 13 years. After I left here and saw how it was supposed to be done, I came out of this big church. This is my only other experience of church, besides the Catholic Church, of which I didn't really get to participate in the same way. So anyway, now that I get to participate in the way I wanted to as a minister, I saw how church was supposed to be, so I just tried to go and make a little mini Unity of Houston in New Braunfels. But I also got to try my ideas out, right? Some things that I just wanted to see. Does this really fly? Does this stick? And I found that this thing I'm telling you about is the secret to co-creation. To everything. It's not just running a church or a ministry. It's unfolding anything that calls to you from the heart. It is leaning into a picture, into a vision. It is leaning into a desire of the heart. It is seeking of seeing something as though it were already happening. You can start to begin to see it. And some people say, how you step into it and live as if. It's like living into it with a gentle holding on to it gently, knowing that it can shift, it can change, it might morph a little bit, but for where you are right now, this is what it looks like. And if you can just kind of hold that up, then when you're alert to that, even though you can't make that happen now, you can begin to look for the clues and for the people and for the opportunities and for the shifting in your environment that suddenly starts to crop up, and you go, that would go with that. That will make that happen. That's the thing I've been looking for. That's what I've been waiting for. That's my clue. That's my cue. This is the thing. This is the time. And it can't, no matter how bad you want it, and let me tell you, I could write a book about how bad I wanted it to happen in the time frame I wanted, with the people I chose to do it with, and none of it happened because it wasn't the right time. Because that's the only thing I couldn't see was what the right time would be. Only when the alarm went off and the time was right could you see the pattern starting to emerge. And let me just tell you, it is actually more beautiful than what you can see from the distance. It is more beautiful to arrive than what you see from the distance. That's order. We're all part of it. We are co-creators. This is what that means. We're not just, filling out our wish list with a big deity in the sky and asking for things to be manifested in our hands, in our pockets, in our bank accounts, in our driveways, or in our house with us. How boring would that be? It's more cool to create something that doesn't exist yet, with something you can't really see, but everything is about how you feel about it and how it's calling you and how you can't stop thinking about it. Habakkuk I'm sure you're going to think I made that up. This is actually a prophet from the Old Testament, from the Hebrew Bible. And lest you think that I've combed the Bible looking for this, I will tell you that I have a cheat way of finding some really good quotes, and this is a really good quote. So this is from Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, for those of you who know what I'm talking about. This is the quote. "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." You want that on your mirror? Habakkuk. It's spelled Habakkuk. If I was smart enough, I would have given this to Jen and she could have put it up on the slide for you. Habakkuk 2:3. This is awesome. "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it lingers," in other words, it's delayed, it's out there somewhere far away, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Rabindranath Tagore said, "The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world. The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the rest of the world and dances in rhythmic measures." That's why you're co-creators, because you are seated with the ongoing pattern yourself. You are a hologram of what is to be created, what already exists, what already is out there. So you are equipped. You're hardwired. It is available to you, not just for some. It is available for you. And it comes not from here, from here. It comes from a pull of the heart. It comes from a true place. Anything that's true comes from your heart. Everything comes from here. You cannot deduce the truth. You can't. You can approximate it. You can be concise about it. You can communicate it, perhaps, once you know it. But you first have to know it here. When we invoke divine order in chaos, when we invoke divine order in chaos in our lives, when things have gone haywire and completely off the beam and completely into a mess and seems to be coming at you from every side, unexpected stuff, the only thing you can be sure of is that this is perfect. Painful, anger-producing, disappointing, upsetting. Oh, sure, maybe all those things. But it is also perfect and perfectly timed in a way you have yet to discover. But you can affirm that order. You can see the truth of that when you rise up a little higher. You know, Jesus was in the boat. How many times does everybody know about the boat incident with Jesus and the disciples with the waves and the water coming in and he's asleep and they wake him up and they fear for their lives and Jesus stands up and he says what? Let's have it all together. 1, 2, 3. What does he say? That's exactly right. There's chaos going on, but he doesn't see chaos. He's not afraid. He asked them, why did they wake him up? Because it's perfect. Because this is what lakes do sometimes. They have storms and they get messy. And all we know is in peace, be still. And you know what? I personally think he wasn't calling out to the waves or the wind at all. I think he was calling out to the better understanding of his own disciples. That once they grab hold of some peace and become still, they'll stop rocking the boat, and things will start to calm down, and things will subside. and they'll think Jesus did it. Order is evolving spiritual expression. It is something that's on its way. It's never like, ta-da! You know, because as soon as something becomes accomplished, we might celebrate it, we might bring people over and show it off to them, and you know, what we've done, what we've created, what we moved into, what we just bought, whatever. And then, I don't know, we're kind of on to other stuff, right? It's never done. It's always evolving. Things are always becoming. Why? Because we are co-creators. We're not just, you know, achievers where we achieve something and it's done. It's never done. Sometimes it comes undone. You seen that happen? That is my least favorite part of order. Undone. I had everything nailed down. Everything was tied off. Everything was just the way it was supposed to be. Everybody understood their part. We were all going to do this thing. And then I don't want to talk about it. It's too hard. It just happens. And of course, it's perfect. And of course, it always becomes better. Mark said, this is the Gospel of Mark. This is something you'll find in the Gospels in chapter 4. He says, Jesus said, "This is what the kingdom of God is like. A man scatters seed on the ground night and day, whether he sleeps or gets up. The seed sprouts and grows, though he does not know how. All by itself, the soil produces grain. First, the stalk, then the head, then the full kernel in the head. As soon as the grain is ripe, he puts the sickle to it because the harvest has come." Do you hear the order of it? It takes time and cooperation and patience. But the human being in this, a man scatters seed on the ground. He initiates it, he participates in it. But night and day, whether he sleeps or gets up, it doesn't matter. Because the seed sprouts and grows, though he doesn't even know how. All by itself, the soil produces grain. First the stalk, then the head, then the full kernel in the head. As soon as the grain is ripe, he puts the sickle to it because the harvest has come. What does that say to you? Do your part and trust the process. Trust it. If you don't know what you're supposed to do, you're not supposed to do anything. Honestly, wait until you do know. And then do it. Do the thing you can do. Add the thing you can add. Bring what you can bring. But don't think you're the one that's got to create a stalk and stretch it out and get formed into a grain. And you don't even know how to do that. So don't put all that pressure on yourself. Stop worrying about it. And keep trusting. And keep reaching out there for the vision. Or ask for an update. Can I have an update on that vision? Because maybe I thought it was going to be more, it's going to be more like that. Cool. Probably better than what I thought. Eckhart Tolle says, some changes look negative on the surface, but you'll soon realize that space is being created in your life for something new to emerge. Oh, somebody's applauding right there. Are you waiting for something to come? Yeah, something's going to happen. Something's going to emerge. Everybody, we're on the verge of something to emerge. Something is changing because this is the nature of our lives. Parker Palmer says, there's a hard truth to be told. Before spring becomes beautiful, it is plug ugly. Nothing but mud and muck. She says, I have walked in the early spring through fields that will suck your boots off. A world so wet and woeful, it makes you yearn for the return of ice. But in that muddy mess, the conditions for rebirth are being created. Being created.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.